Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we have some insane news. But before I say that, I just want to say spoilers. If you don't want anything spoiled for Campaign 4, stay off the internet, because this is going to be everywhere. So, yeah, I can't believe I didn't see this until just now. It's been about 3 hours since these dropped, and yeah, this has completely ruined a video that was coming out for today. Today's video was supposed to be me talking about the emojis, but that has been scrapped. So we're getting this one where I talk about the player characters for Campaign 4 because they have been released in full detail. Name, the only thing we don't really know is the table they're going to be sitting at and the class they are. But we have the names and who's playing what, or who's playing which character based on their name and stuff. So we're going to just look at them, and I'm going to make a few educated guesses based on their appearance, what they could be class-wise. So yeah, let's get started. Also, before we truly get into it, well, I guess I should say, I'm going to butcher these names. It's not until we hear them in campaign am I going to figure them out. And even then, for those of you who are aware of my Imogen last name issues, because I called her Temult for forever, until enough people got pissed off at me to where I was like, I'm going to learn how to say her name properly, and went back and listened to like the first episode. But yeah, I'm going to butcher these names, so that'll be fun. Write it down in the comments. Get pissed off. So first we have Travis Willingham's character, who is Teor Pridesire. I'm hopefully saying that right. I'm probably not. But it looks like, you know, one of my guesses were that there was going to be, like, based on the emojis, we were going to get like a Leolin Paladin, and that's just what I'm seeing here. He looks very Paladin-like with the half-plate mail, and just, he looks huge and muscly, and, like, honestly, that guy is a protector. And based on, like there's a totem in his hand by the looks of it, or, like, maybe a spellcasting focus. The only thing that's a little weird is there's no weapon. That being said, if they're going to play it this way, maybe he's using his claws as a weapon. So he could be, like, divine smiting with his claws, because that would be really cool. So I'm thinking this character is a Paladin, which really just fits Travis super well. And I know a lot of people would probably like want him to play something different because he technically did like multi-class as a Paladin in the past, or a Paladin in the past. But, you know, seeing him go full Paladin would be really cool. And it might not even be that. I'm just making an assumption, but that's what this whole thing is going to be about. So I'm just looking at this character, knowing Travis's past with characters being mostly physical and like mixing in magic. This looks Paladin to me. So, you know, Teor Pridesire looks like a Paladin. Then we have Whitney Moore, who is playing Tyranny. This looks to be a tiefling, a pink tiefling, so I'm not sure what ancestry that's supposed to be, but pink tiefling it is. And based off what we're seeing here, I couldn't tell you fuck all about the character. I couldn't tell you what class they're going to be, what kind of person they're going to be, anything like that. It just, the name Tyranny, however, is a little bit of a hint, because most like tieflings have like a virtue name. You know, they have like an actual name they're born with, and then like a virtue name, which is something they like stand by. So Tyranny, that sounds pretty heavy for a character who looks like this. So I kind of like that contrast. I love it a lot. Actually, I'm intrigued to see what this character does. As far as guesses, I mean, maybe some sort of, you know, I could see this character being a cleric type, maybe, based off what they're wearing. I guess it could be like they used to be a priest and this is what they wear, or they could be some sort of talker, some sort of person like that. I could very easily see a warlock potentially out of this character, and maybe that has something to do with them being a tiefling in general. Who knows? Maybe they're, you know, whatever patron they have is one of Tyranny, and it's been like following them their entire life. Who knows? But Tyranny, played by Whitney Moore, not sure what they're gonna be. Sorry. Then we have Marisha Ray's character, who is Murray Magneson, who seems to be a dwarf, a female dwarf with a beard. I feel like that's actually something that's been brought up before in the past for Critical Role. There's been many female dwarves with beards. And again, kind of based off of what I'm seeing appearance-wise, it's kind of hard to make an assumption about what kind of class they're going to be. However, the hat, if I point out the hat, there is like a mechanical thing here. And it looks like maybe it'd be like a way to like zoom in and see better. So maybe this character is like tinkering with a lot of things. They need to get like really close to see fine details of like wirings or gears or something like that. So maybe this character could be an artificer, which would be a lot of fun to see. I just, based on all of what I'm seeing here, again, hard to tell. I feel like Travis made his character very plainly like he's going to be some big brutish character who's going to divine smite you, whereas so far everything else that we've looked at, a little hard to tell. But I do think that there's like a magnifying glass here on Murray. Is it going to be like Murray? How are they going to pronounce this name? But yeah, that looks like a magnifying glass, and honestly, that is leaning me into thinking artificer. Next up, we have Aabria Iyengar, who is playing, and I am going to butcher this, Thaisha Loy? Is that how you say that? Loy? I'm going to say that. Probably wrong. This character straight up looks like a warlock to me. This is a orc. I believe 2024 rules. They're no longer like half orc. They're just orcs. I could be wrong. But this looks like a warlock, and I feel like I've nailed it. Right? Aabria playing a warlock just made so much sense to me, and here we are. Aabria playing a warlock. This just on first appearances seems very warlock to me. And yeah, I'm going to stick with that. It could be a cleric, but she just played Deanna. I don't think she's going to want to play a cleric again. So realistically, this looks like a warlock. All things considered, very, very strong warlock vibes, especially like the tattoo up the arm into the fingers with the magic. Like that looks like warlock. That being said, there is like some sort of foliage in that magic, so maybe not. Now that I'm getting a closer look. Although I am just going to stick with warlock for now, just to be like, I think I got one. So next up we have, honestly, the long-awaited player character from Matt Mercer, Sir Julien Davinos, or Davinos, however you're going to pronounce it. I'm going to say Davinos. And it's hard to tell, honestly, based on like a first glance, what you would like define this character as, because the rapier instantly for me, and like the leather armor with like a little bit of metal all over the place, that just screams like a rogue type character to me, which honestly would be really cool for him to play a rogue. Now, I could also see this being some sort of fighter. They're a finesse, dexterity-based fighter as opposed to a strength-based fighter, which I feel like is fairly common for a lot of fighters in D&D. So I could easily see this being the case where he is going to play some sort of fighter character. But I think this could also be a blade singer, and like the metal is just like an accent. It's not like an actual armor set. I could very easily see this being a blade singer. So for a lot of people who want Matt to play blade singer, there is hope with that. Honestly, though, this looks very Assassin's Creed to me. So I'm leaning toward rogue, which is something I didn't know I wanted Matthew Mercer to play until now. Now I want rogue, and I basically want him to be Ezio Auditore da Firenze. I think that would be awesome. That just, honestly, I'm getting hyped about this character. So excited to seeing who he is and what he does. Very excited to learn about him. So next up, we have Taliesin Jaffe's character, Bolaire Lathalia. I'm terrible with names, I apologize. But this character, just right off the bat, it's hard to really identify much of. Now, I will say that sword looks rather magical. It looks like it's been made out of thin air of some type. So hard to pinpoint that one. So it could just be like a magical weapon entirety, like in its own thing. So I'm not going to look at that too much. However, I do see a lot of rogue stuff here as well. That being said, does that not look like that's either a mask or like a changeling face, right? I'm assuming that's a mask. And if I'm being totally realistic with you, I think this character is probably going to be a rogue and Matt's probably going to be a blade singer, or vice versa. Really, it's hard to tell with these two. I'm excited because I don't know what to really say about this character. There's so much going on here. It has it almost has like a Harley Quinn type vibe to it. You know what I'm saying? Not like the character from fucking DC, but like an actual Harlequin, right? Like where there's the black, there's a bit of white, there's red. It just looks very much like that sort of deal to me. So yeah, I'm kind of curious as to what this character even is about. And honestly, I'm not seeing like a place where you would put your sword. So something tells me this character is like making this weapon and it's like magical of some sort. So this character could even be a Hexblade, and like the magical weapon just appears because that's part of the Hexblade class. So maybe Hexblade. I'm saying either Rogue or Hexblade for this character. Something about it just screams those things to me. All right, so next we have Ashley Johnson, who is playing Vaelus. Again, if I'm saying these names wrong, I apologize. But this character to me looks very, hard to pin down as well. They seem to be a drow, and they're missing an ear, which is interesting. Just something I can't really like look at this and say like specifically this character is this thing, right? If this were in Exandria, something would point me to saying like this character looks like they would be like a cleric for the Raven Queen, just based off like the black and all that stuff, and maybe even like a grave domain cleric, which was honestly one of my like predictions for the emojis, as there was a grave cleric character. But just something about this is hard to pinpoint for me specifically, because again, there's no weapons on a handful of these characters, and once you see a weapon you can start like pinpointing stuff down. There's just this smoke thing, I forget the name of this right now, but you'd like, I guess it's a sage burner maybe on a leash or a chain of some type, and maybe that's their weapon. But fuck me, is this hard to tell exactly what they're going to be. You know what are the odds this is like a monk? What are the odds this is like some sort of monk? I'm going to say this is a monk. I'm going to say Vaelus is a monk, and Ashley Johnson is going monk. Oh dear God, I can't wait to see what this is. I'm so excited for all this now. This has me very giddy. So next we have Alex Ward, who is playing Occtis Taconis. And honestly, there's some weird shit going on here. I think those are foxes, so that was going to be like the fox. Maybe not. Actually, it's hard to tell. But just based off this sort of look for the character, there seems to be like a syringe. There seems to be like bottles, and maybe that looks to be some sort of recipe book for like potions. So is this going to be some sort of like alchemist type character? Maybe an artificer? There's so many characters who I feel like could be multiple things, but this one to me just screams artificer. Although I can't really, unless are those like buttons for eyes on the fucking fox dog things? Are those buttons? Oh God, what the hell is this? These are raw reactions, by the way. Like, these are like the first time I'm taking like a really good look at all these things. I like got the screenshots of them, and now I'm like actually looking at them. Are those fucking button eyes? Oh God, please God, no, that better not be what I'm looking at. This character is somehow giving me nightmare fuel. I'm gonna lean toward artificer. I'm not too sure. It sounds like every character is either gonna be a rogue, an artificer, or a fucking blade singer. So, I don't know what to tell you. I'm excited though. I like the look of this character. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do. So next we have Robbie Daymond, who is playing Kattigan Vale, and this character looks awesome. So I was assuming that he was going to play a rogue, but honestly, this to me looks like a ranger of some type, a Beastmaster ranger, which was going to be one of my predictions for the emojis based on like the wolf and everything like that. It's fucking weird that most of them don't have like weapons, unless that thing he's holding is his bow and like he has like a magical bowstring. What is with that dog's leg or that wolf's leg? That wolf looks awesome. He's got a ghost leg. I'm intrigued by this character. Now, I just automatically assume this is going to be a rogue. It might not. Maybe. And here's a weird shout. Maybe he's a druid. And that wolf is something he like classically transforms into. Does he have a scar over his eyes? He has a tattoo of a scar over his eye. Like with the actual character. So this could be a ranger or a druid in my eyes. And maybe that wolf is what he turns into. This is cool. This is very, very cool to me. Does he have like a necklace? No. Okay, I'm assuming that is actually going to be his beast companion. Because there's a few differences in like some of the leather wrappings and stuff like that. And there's no like necklace around the wolf's neck. So that to me would have been like, oh, that's definitely him in like a wolf form. No, this is a ranger Beastmaster for sure. And he looks cool. Not sure what group he's going to be on, but based on the emojis, there was like a spyglass, so maybe he's a seeker. So Robbie Daymond is playing a Beastmaster Ranger who is a seeker. Maybe. Probably not. So next up we have Liam O'Brien, who is playing Halandil Fang, and he is also a half-orc, so there's now 2 orcs in this group. And based on looking at him, kind of looks like a bard, doesn't he? And there was definitely a bard who was like very fitting of Liam in the like the emoji thing, where to me there was a violin, there was the Parthenon, which is like a building in Greece to like one of the temples, one of the remaining like wonders of the world, and there was Greek pottery, which was like, to me, it was like hinting towards a Greek tragedy, right? Like, oh, Greek tragedies are very famous stories, and then bard because of the violin, and tragedy bard just fits Liam so well. Now, unfortunately, this sort of goes against the idea that Liam was trying to play all of the core classes of D&D, which was he played a rogue, he played a wizard, he played a fighter, and then the next one would be cleric, which are like the first 4 classes. So if he is playing a bard, that sort of goes against that idea that he was going for like the original and just ended up doing that. So that's a little strange, because this character the most to me feels like he fits the bard archetype the most, maybe, just by looking at him. And like, I kind of draw comparisons to his outfit to, I believe the character's name was Edgin. I might be saying it wrong. Chris Pine's character from the D&D movie, who was a bard. So I just draw comparisons to that. Like, he just looks like that character, just instead of being human, he's an orc. So very intrigued by this, the fact that it's not a cleric. So who knows? I'm looking forward to whatever bard thing he does, because I know Liam is going to be, based off like everything he's done in the past, like Caleb and like how descriptive he was with like using his magic, and then with Orem and how like descriptive he was with his martial combat. I'm excited to see how he brings that to the bard if he ends up playing a bard. So looking forward to this one a lot. So next we have Luis Carazo, who is playing Azune Naria. Nope. Nayar is probably correct. Okay, so look, moving past that. Honestly, something is making me lean towards this character being like a cleric of some type. I don't know, like the magic is actually kind of fucking with me, because there's like electricity magic. So maybe, is there like a Tempest cleric? Is that what's going on here? I think there's a Tempest cleric. Give me a second. After a quick Google search, there is a Tempest cleric. So something about this just screams cleric to me. Like the hammer, the plate mail, the armor, and just something about it really does scream cleric. And the lightning hands and like the magical hands just tell me Tempest for whatever reason, like Tempest, like weather. So I don't know, based off that looks like a Tempest cleric to me. He looks kind of cool. Honestly, he's giving me Caleb vibes if Caleb was a bit stronger than what he was. And I'm noticing, is there like a lot of brown leather on all of these guys? Like a lot of like, no, I'm just making shit up now. Okay, never mind. Anyway, this character looks cool. I'm intrigued to see how, because paladins and clerics are kind of similar. So I'm intrigued to see how he plays this character differently from Xerxes. Now, just right off the bat, if he is going to be a cleric, is he going to, in this world without gods, is he going to be one of the few who still like worship them? Or is he going to be much like, I'm a cleric of the people again? Intriguing. I'm curious as to see. He also has like some chainmail. Fuck, these are some cool ass. First of all, I'm so excited that we get like character designs super early. So that's nice that we're going to be able to have some thumbnails early on so we can talk about these. But I'm very hyped about these characters now. So next up is Sam Riegel, and he is playing Wicander Lovar. I'm going to go with that. Anyway, moving on from the name, he looks so sorcerer to me. Just something about it just screams sorcerer. Like, even the stance he's taking just says sorcerer to me. He could be a wizard of some type, but I don't know. Something about his like appearance being made like vaguely magical just in of itself tells me like inherent magic, like even like the magical looking scar on his face says there's something magical inherently about them. So to me, that says sorcerer. Now, I could be wrong. I could always be wrong, and I'm down with being wrong. However, one thing I am noticing right off the bat is he looks human. He doesn't look small. And I'm curious how upset people are going to be that he's not small. I'm also wondering, did Liam pick this character? Because if he didn't, then that explains why he's not small. Because Sam never made a small character when he picked his own characters in Breas and Terry, but Liam always picked his characters and they were always small in Scanlan, Veth, or not, and FCG. So this is a little different. He is standing much taller than the others. So I'm a little intrigued by this, and I'm curious who picked this character. And lastly, we have Laura Bailey playing Thimble, a fucking easy name, god damn it. And she's a fairy holding what looks to be a like sewing needle and like another type of needle, but it looks like she's a dual wielding rogue to me. There's something about this screams rogue. I really do like this. It looks like a cool design. Honestly, getting Tinkerbell. Getting Tinkerbell automatically. There seems to be like a layer of sass to this character just by the pose already. I am intrigued to see how this character interacts, and I'm intrigued to see how tall or how big they're going to make her, because typically like they're small sized characters, so Laura seems to be stealing Sam's bag with the small sized character thing here. And honestly, based off everything we've seen, this is the only small character. I could be wrong, but you know, I'm intrigued by this. But again, I don't understand. Maybe this character is going to be like a fighter character and they're going to be dual wielding with like light weapons. Honestly, that button on her hip looks like it could be a shield. So like maybe she is going to be a fighter. And now that I've said that, I want her to be a fighter. I think a fucking small little fairy flying around the battlefield as a fighter would be awesome. And instead of like having to use seedling to zip around the battlefield, she just uses her wings. I want this to happen now. So there you have it, the revealed Campaign 4 characters. That is wild to me, the fact that they've revealed these characters. I think it's to build hype for Campaign 4. I'm curious as to why they did this. Like if they're worried about viewership maybe being down or whatever for, you know, various reasons, maybe because it's been so long since Campaign 3 and they need to like pump some viewership back into it. I'm not sure, that's pure speculation, but I am confused as to why they did this. Normally they would hold on to these things. Now, I'm curious for those of you who are like Dimension 20 fans, do they announce Dimension 20 characters for like their campaigns before playing their campaigns? Because if that's the case, this is something that like Brennan could be bringing over. So maybe potentially, because with him being the DM, I would imagine he has a lot of like control over this type of stuff, like revealing stuff like this. So like no secret character sort of deal. Now, again, they don't reveal their classes in this. So realistically, who knows what those are going to be. However, based off of what I'm seeing and what I'm like, you know, how I'm feeling off these, you know, characters, my predictions that I made beforehand, I only got 2 right. So I got Aabria being a warlock and I got Sam being a sorcerer. Those are the only 2 of my original predictions that I feel super strong about. And everything else just looked like either a fucking wizard, a cleric, or a fucking rogue. So I couldn't tell you, based off anything like that, what I feel everyone else is playing. Now, except for Liam. I think Liam is going to be a bard. So I'm curious to know what you guys all think. Let me know what you guys think each of them are class-wise. And yeah, this was supposed to be a completely different video today. And hopefully you guys aren't too upset that we don't get an emoji talking, like me talking about the emojis. But, you know, sometimes videos are meant to be, you know, erased. Like that one. Although I feel like I got a couple of those right. But anyway, that's not the point. I think that's all I have to say about this. I'm excited about these characters. I'm looking forward to it. Again, these were pretty well like raw reactions to me looking at them. You could literally hear my thought process as I was going. And when I found the fucking button eyes on those cute little creatures, I'm horrified of whatever Alex Ward is cooking up. So I'm looking forward to Campaign 4 even fucking more now. Let's go. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Peace. Some of you might be wondering, why is the outro playing when, you know, there's still a ton of time left in this video? And that's because I had made a video for today. It was going to be me breaking down like my predictions for the emojis. And keep in mind that it takes a lot of work to edit videos sometimes. And it would have been a waste to just throw it away. So I'm actually putting it here at the end. So keep in mind these emoji breakdowns that you're about to hear, if you care to hear them, happened before this reveal of the campaign 4 characters. So while it's outdated, I still wanted you guys to see it because I felt like it was good. It was a good video. So yeah, anyway, please enjoy the second half of this video. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be talking about the Critical Role campaign 4 emoji things they put out to try to, you know, let us or aid us in predicting the campaign 4 player characters, I guess is sort of the idea here. So there's 13 groups of emojis that they put out. Initially, I wasn't going to talk about this because I had already made my character predictions, and I kind of wanted to just let that sort of speak for itself and be its own video. But enough people had asked me if I was going to make a video on this. It figures like, you know, people might want to hear my take on it. Normally, I don't talk about things like this, like the whole crossword puzzle thing. I didn't want to talk about that either because I'm someone who likes to have most of the information put out in front of me or none at all. So if I don't have a full picture to work off of, my brain doesn't really work for it. It doesn't like comprehend anything. So I struggle with these emoji things. Like, you know, there used to be app store games that you could get and play these and try to figure out what the hell the movie's supposed to be or whatever, and I was horrible at it. So with all that in mind, I'm probably going to be wrong with these, but I do want to talk about them because enough people have said something about me potentially doing a video on it. So here we are. That's what we're doing. So today we're talking about the Critical Role Campaign 4 player emoji predictions. Before we get into it, I just want to specify one last thing about this. I'm not going to try to link a player to the class. You know, I think there's not enough here to sort of indicate who's going to play what. I guess you could watch my other prediction videos and see like where they line up with each of the people here or each of the classes here. So for me, this isn't, you know, unless otherwise specified, because I think there is one or two that I think I do specify as far as who I think it could be, but outside of that, I'm not going to try to link the emojis to a player. So the first one we're looking at here is a wolf, a spyglass, and a bow and arrow. So to me, the bow and arrow automatically just says ranger. So I feel like we've got a class right off the bat, ranger. The spyglass to me could either mean they're at the seeker table or there's some sort of like investigator, and that might put them on the the schemer table. So I think the spyglass sort of an indication of which table they're going to be sitting at, and I think that removes soldier from the list. Honestly, I'm leaning towards seeker for that. And then the wolf to me says, because we've got a ranger, I think we have a beast master companion, and the wolf is going to be the companion. So we've got a seeker, right, and then we have a ranger subclass, a beast master. So a lot of people were hoping to not see a ranger come back around, especially because a lot of people still think the 2024 ranger sucks, but we'll see what happens. But that's my prediction. I think this is a Beastmaster ranger who sits at the seeker table, and the beast for the Beastmaster is a wolf. I know a lot of people are thinking this is going to be a werewolf character of some kind. I highly doubt it after Campaign 3 had one. So something tells me we're not going to get another werewolf character so quickly after Chetney. But we might. Who knows? I doubt it personally. And the next one, we have the Parthenon, a Greek pot, and a violin. This is the one I am so strongly leaning toward guaranteeing this to be the case. I think this is a tragedy bard. Now, some people might be like, why? And the typical saying is like, oh, it's a Greek tragedy. And then violin for bard. So I have two things here that point me toward Greece. And then I have a violin for a bard. Something tells me we're getting a tragedy bard of some type. I would imagine because they're, you know, a charisma-based character, they might end up on the schemer table, but nothing here indicates about that at all. So to me, this is just Greek tragedy bard. So I know some people had other opinions on this. Some people thought this was like the Washington Monument, but when I typed in the Parthenon, I believe that's how you pronounce it, it popped up as this symbol as the emoji. So Greek Parthenon, which is a temple. So Greek tragedy bard, or just a tragedy bard. I feel very confident about this one. So now we have what looks to be a comet of some sort, and two swords crossing, and a compass. For me, this could equal a magic a magical practitioner who also uses swords, so it automatically pushes me towards Eldritch Knight Fighter or a Blade Singer. I know a lot of people really want to see someone do a Blade Singer thing. Like the Comet to me just indicates magic, and then the swords obviously indicate like some sort of martial weaponry. So to me, Blade Singer or Eldritch Knight are the two that I'm sort of thinking of right off the bat. It could also be like an Echo Knight, because like the Echo Knight is moving around the battlefield like really fast like a comet, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case. But you know, we'll see. I think Eldritch Knight or Blade Singer is likely the two that I'm going to stick with the most, specifically because of the compass. The compass indicates to me, and this is going to be a mild jump for some people, the compass indicates for me the keen mind feat, because it lets you always know which way is north. So to me, and it also gives you like a +1 to your intelligence, which would fit really well with a Blade Singer or an Eldritch Knight who need intelligence. So to me, all of that wraps up really nicely. So personally, I'm saying that's the keen mind feat, and we either have a Blade Singer or an Eldritch Knight. So who knows? Who knows who will be playing that? I saw a lot of people say they want to see Matt Mercer be a Blade Singer, so maybe this could indicate Matt Mercer's character. So this one is the Bearded Man, the female symbol, and a crystal ball and a jester card. To me, this Bearded Man looks a lot like Liam O'Brien, but it could also be a dwarf. So I'm thinking it's going to be Liam O'Brien playing a dwarf character who is gender swapped and is a trickery domain cleric who has a crystal ball as their casting focus. But the crystal ball could also be some sort of like hint to their past, like maybe a fortune teller sent them on the path that they're currently on right now. So honestly, I don't necessarily feel strong about this, but I feel like these are the ones that like sort of link together the most. Why a cleric would have a crystal ball, I don't know, unless you're trying to be, not necessarily like a combative one, but you're trying to be like, and honestly, like crystal balls, fortune tellers are, I don't, if you believe in that kind of stuff, whatever, for most people in the world, it's all foolishness and trickery. So I feel like that fits really well with the whole trickery domain thing. So I personally feel like this fits a lot. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this one. So to me, this is Liam playing a gender swapped character who is probably a dwarf and is going to be a trickery domain cleric with a crystal ball somewhere along the way. So next we have a dagger, a diamond, and a fire. To me, the dagger automatically means rogue, and the diamond next to the dagger means it's something a rogue would steal, so thief subclass. Now, the fire is sort of where things gets all like muddy for me. This could be a calling card for the character. Like, it could be like after they steal something, they like burn one of the objects of like that was holding whatever they stole, or maybe it's how they get into places. They're like a pyromaniac and they like to burn their way into wherever they're trying to steal shit from. But I'm very strongly feeling the rogue thief thing. I don't think we've had a thief like rogue character yet, so I think it'd be really cool and really fun for us to see that. I feel like this is a type of character that would fit really well at the schemer table, because they'd be able to scheme their way into things. The fire could mean that they're also on like a hot streak, that they're hot and maybe they're wanted. So I truly do just think this points to rogue thief. Who's playing it? No idea, but rogue thief who's on a hot streak and is really wanted by the cops. Sounds about right to me. So next up we have an elf with a female symbol again, and chains, and then a vase or a pot of some kind. So to me this says that we're getting an elf character who's gender swapped, so likely a male player playing a female character, because I feel like a lot of, I kind of want to mention this very quickly. A lot of people in the past have mentioned that there hasn't been a whole lot of gender swapped players, so I feel like now we're seeing it because some people want to see that sort of thing. So that's what we're getting. I feel like the only one who's been like a true gender swap, who hasn't been like, what the player predominantly like portrays themselves as, was Veth. That's like the only true one, I believe, off the top of my head, that wasn't like a guest who was like a 1 or 2 shot. Outside of that, so just wanted to point that out, that I feel like these two things, like the female symbols, indicate a gender swap for both of those things, because I feel like viewers want to see that. And then the chains to me usually indicate some sort of like deal with a devil or something. So a warlock of some kind, whether it be like a great old one or whether it be like fiend. I feel like those chains to me always indicate a deal has been struck, and now the person themselves are chained to another entity. That's just how I feel. So this is going to be a gender swap warlock character. The vase or pot, whatever the hell it is, it could be an urn, I'm not too sure. I have no idea how this connects, like at all. no way in any form do I have an explanation how that connects. So I'm curious to know what you guys think about that one, because I cannot connect the vase for whatever reason. So next up we have a fox head, a black heart, and a coffin. Now the fox could be a were creature of some type, like a were fox, but again, we just had Chetney, and I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. I don't think we're going to see that for another long. So I'm sort of actually leaning toward this being like a tabaxi character, and maybe there wasn't like just a really good red cat thing and like a cat emoji. So they want to be like an orange cat tabaxi type. And the coffin leads me to sort of lean towards like the grave domain cleric, and the black heart could be like, you know, they're kind of dead inside, they have a cold heart, and that would sort of lean into being like an opposite type of cleric from Liam's cleric that I was talking about earlier, because, you know, a trickery one's going to be like loving life, having fun, being laughy and stuff. This one's going to be the exact opposite and be like cold and dark and all about death. I think that could be an interesting way to go about it. So a grave cleric and a tabaxi. So next we have a deer, a heart, and a leaf that seems to be falling. The heart next to the leaf tells me that this is like a nature lover, so I'm leaning toward druid. And the deer is a creature that is predominantly seen on the ground. It isn't connected to the moon in any way. If we had a wolf here, I would connect it to a moon, so it'd be like a moon druid. But in this case, it's a land creature that's typically like, you know, one of the forest, like one with the land itself. So I'm leaning towards the circle of the land for this one. So honestly, this is a druid, circle of the land druid. So I could be completely misreading this one and something else could fit it way better, but I just realistically don't see where it is unless someone, and I didn't see anyone talk about this, but unless you were to be like, I'm going to play a minotaur, but instead of it being like a bull, it's going to be a deer. But I doubt it for some reason. Something just tells me that like the deer is going to be the thing they transform into the most, at least to start off with. And then as time moves on, they'll be able to transform into other things as well. But to me, this indicates circle of the land druid. So next up, we have a fairy, a needle and thread, and we have a wilting rose. So this one was rather difficult for me. The fairy to me just indicates this person is going to be playing a fairy character, which I think would be a lot of fun to see another small character. If that were to be the case, like it'd be a small individual, I could easily see this being Sam, but I don't know. In fact, I have something else written down here that indicates something else entirely. But fairy indicates potential fairy race here. And then for, you know, the rose, I have like a nature cleric. I could also see these being some sort of like life stitcher type of thing. Like someone was really enthralled with Nanamori and they like the whole like stitching life together sort of deal. So now they've made a life stitcher homebrew class. That's whole thing is about like stitching people's fate together or some shit like that. And if it is going to be a homebrew class of some sort, that just automatically means Taliesin Jaffe. So I don't know this one, to be honest. Like putting this together just felt like a fucking weird thing to try to fit together. But that's just me. If any One Piece, you know, viewers are out there, I see a fairy or a small person and next to like a sewing needle, I instantly think of Leo, one of the Tontatas. But I don't think that's what they're going for here. So who knows? We shall see when this one comes up. I'm curious to know what people think about this one as well. So then we have a lion head, a shield, and a sun. So for me, the lion head just means Leolin, which is a race. You know, it's a lion person race. The shield indicates to me paladin. I just feel like the shield is like a defending class or like a, you know, pretty commonly seen with a paladin type. And the sun next to it also means like, you know, they're a beacon of hope because that's what the sun is for a lot of things. And the sun is also like deeply tied to religion a lot of the time. So like most like main gods of a religion typically have something to do with the sun. So to me, this sounds like a paladin oath of devotion, which would fit really interestingly into like this world, because the world, like this world is one where they've killed off the gods. So this will be one where like this person sort of is an outlier. They're still devoted to the gods. And I think that would be really cool to see how it plays out with this type of character if they truly are still devoted to gods. But who knows? I think this could be a Brixton type character where there's someone who sort of fell into finding things about the gods after the fact and weren't around initially when they were like killed off, and now they appreciate what the gods were back when they were, you know, around, but they can't truly convey themselves properly because the gods aren't here, and it's frowned upon to like the gods now. So I could see this type of character being very similar to Brixton, so who knows? I would like to see it though. Next up, we have a book next to some sparkles next to a candle. And to me, the book automatically equals wizard, and the fire sort of indicates evocation because, there's lots of like fire magic with evocation, lots of elemental magic with evocation. I could also see the candle being like something they're using to, read at night. So if you're reading at night, you could be like a Order of the Scribes, similar to what Prism was in Campaign 3. So realistically, I think this is guaranteed to be a wizard. And I think this is going to be a much more traditional wizard, kind of like Caleb or like Prism. So instead of it being like a Bladesinger wizard. But the book automatically just tells me wizard. It's a very strong feeling because like the sparkles are like magic next to it. So it's a magical book holding all of the magical spells. That's just how I look at it. If you disagree, let me know what you think. So now we've reached the two that I have goddamn no idea how to interpret. So the first one is going to be the sparkly heart with the devil emoji next to the alcohol emoji. I think that's supposed to be alcohol. That's why I can't tell. But to me, the devil could be a tiefling, or it could be like they're a devilish person. They're very tricky and they're very, wild. And like drinking, like they get wild when they get drunk or something like that. And the heart indicates a heart. So I'm saying wild heart barbarian tiefling. I know that's a fucking stretch and a half, but realistically, I have no idea how I'm supposed to interpret this, like at all. These things together don't mean anything. There's nothing to indicate a class here, like at all, other than a heart next to two things. You could be like, oh, they're devilish and wild. Oh, when they get drunk, they're wild. That's the way I look at it. That's the only way I can think of. So I'm curious to know what you guys will think. Maybe the devil's supposed to be like Pact of like the Devil or Pact of the Fiend or something like that. And it could be a warlock, but I'm going to stick with Wildheart Barbarian Tiefling who gets drunk a lot. And the last one, you have like the two faces, which is like a smiley face and a frowny face. You have a scroll next to it, and you have a key. So the two faces are typically seen as like drama and arts and acting and stuff like that. You see those like as iconography all over the place for drama stuff. In fact, I'm pretty sure the sign over my high school drama room was this. So there you go. That was there. The scroll tells me lore bard because, you got drama next to some scrolls. You got a lore bard. And the key could be theoretically like, they hold the keys to magical secrets, and that's how they're able to reach over into other classes and steal their magic. But it could indicate something else. Maybe they're maybe the key is like a part of their backstory and they have a key and they're looking for whatever it unlocks. So they could be a schemer. But that's all I have. I think this one indicates bard, but I have no idea what the key is supposed to be for. So much like earlier with the vase that I have no idea, I want to know what you guys think about this key the most. Also, I want to know what you guys think about the fucking heart, devil, and alcohol the most. Because, by God, I have no idea. So there you have it. My Critical Role Campaign 4 PC emoji predictions, which is what I'm going to call the video. I've decided that's the name of the video. But, my deductive skills are not the greatest, so like trying to piece together what these emojis mean, not my strong suit. It's the same thing like I said earlier with like the crossword puzzle. Not my strong suit, not the thing that like for me I am gonna be able to click in on and be able to like piece these things together. I know there are some people who are gonna look at these and be like totally different from mine, and that's okay. I want to know what you guys think about all of these, especially the ones that I like struggle with the most, like the whole vase with the elf. Like that one, I have no idea. And then the fairy with like the sewing needle, no idea there either. And the devil with the heart and the alcohol, and then the faces with the key. Those are the ones I'm curious about the most for all of you guys, and I want to know what you think of them. And I want to see the differences, right? I want to see how people interpret these differently. And, when it comes down to it, when I want my predictions to be remembered for campaign 4, like for the PCs, I'd rather my other video be remembered, be like, I'd rather people go back to that one and be like, yeah, you were wrong, or you were right. And because all of that happened before these came out, so I feel like it would be nice for those to be more accurate. But I'm curious to know what you guys think about my predictions here. I'm curious to know what you guys think I have wrong, what I have right. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Friday for whatever video I make next. Peace.